You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point. But if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, come on.
Right? I mean, really. I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, it looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, game day here on the grid. Hour number 3, Scott and Brady in for Gabe tonight. Thanks again to George Kurtz joining us, as he does from time to time, especially during the football games. So they have just started the second half. Baltimore is driving, and they do have the ball inside the Dolphin territory. Just a sign of things, the changing a little bit. Lamar Jackson, George, just went off on Brady went on a scramble, right? As we've seen 1,000 times. He got tripped up. Like Lamar, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was wide open field. He would have ran that for 50 yards. He may have scored, but he get a little bit older now. Not quite the quickness that we had beforehand. So anyway, Baltimore on the move. Probably a little soul searching going in. They only had 4 first downs that first half. So they got it down to the Dolphin, the 38-yard line now, 2nd and 7, and the line shot back up to 11.5. So I'm not going to fool around with the Baltimore props, but I will go. I'm going to hop back on Achane. For me, I hit his over 91.5. That they're feeding him the ball, they're running with him, they're throwing the ball to him. He's the entire offense. Waddle's got decent little numbers, 61 yards right now. His number is 93.5. I think they're going to get him the ball. So give me Waddle over 93.5 yards receiving. And again, he's got 61, and then I'll go Achane over his rushing yards, even though I know they're not going to rush that much more. But, it's still, even if they score here, he's at 67, and they're giving me 90.5. I think he gets that tonight.
I agree with both of them, Scott. You're right about Achane for sure. He really has been almost the entire offense for the Miami Dolphins. And like we've been talking about throughout the first half, they've been able to move the ball between the 20s. They've just had mistakes. They've missed field goals. They turned it over on downs on a bad incomplete pass by Tua, and they turned it over. And they turned it over and missed a field goal all in the first quarter. So they've been moving it between the 20s, but just can't, ring the bell. And so why not just, pad those bets that you're talking about with more yards? Because you think that's going to happen. It hasn't not happened for a second through 30 minutes of football. They just haven't been able to score. Baltimore on the move, now down to the 14 of the Miami Dolphins. 1st and 10, under 11 minutes now left to go in the third quarter, and they're back up to a 13.5-point favorite. You remember we saw this thing get to the other side at 13, got to 14.5 for a minute here. The total's really interesting, though, at 44.5. Before the game, we talked about our predicted scores. 26 to 18 is what I said. I don't know if it can possibly land on that at this point. I guess it could, but right now, me thinking that this game was going to land around 44 points, that's what the odds makers are telling us at this point as well. I think if you had the under prior to kickoff, you're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. 14-6, if they score here, a touchdown, 21-6. Not a bad little middle. I do think the Dolphins somewhere along the line is going to put one in there. I don't think Baltimore's going to sit on this thing, right? So,
and there will be, if they're way ahead, they'll do the old prevent defense thing and let them score a touchdown.
Yeah. So it could, I'm not a big middle guy when it comes to over-unders. When a touchdown is 7 points, you can, blow it with just one score. I prefer more the money line, but not a bad little middle right now if you want to go that route. So, Derek, good news, bad news with Derrick Henry. The good news is he did get a catch, and our over-under was 6.5. The bad news was it was only for 2 yards. So, we got to hope that they decide to throw to him for 2 times tonight. So
probably going to hand it to him here, 3rd and 1 from the 5-yard line, and maybe he'll rumble in for a touchdown, and that'll cash a ticket for George Kurtz.
Yeah, George, he mentioned he put him. I don't know if he played it straight. Probably not. Probably in a parlay like we talked about there. So he's got 32 yards on 10 carries. He really has not had he's got 2 good games, and that's
Against the poor run defense, too. That's, the Ravens, they're looking at the stats, they're not all the way back yet.
Yeah, clearly. Although this drive is certainly helping them. So, all right, so 14-6. We'll let you know how that turns out. Decision time if they get to
First and goal, and now a touchdown. Charlie Kohler, who I believe is a backup tight end, yes?
Yeah, right? Yikes.
You have that one on your bingo card?
I'll tell you that. That's why.
Anytime touchdown for Charlie Kohler, I would guess had to be 30 to 1, maybe 40.
Yeah, if they even listed him. Right? Sometimes they don't even list those guys that deep. So was that on 4th down or 3rd down? I'm seeing. I
believe it was on. It was 1st and goal. 1st and goal from the 3.
Down, okay, I see them unraveling here on 3rd down. So little tush push. They run the tush push with Mark Andrews, not with the Lamar, which is probably smart considering Lamar's got his injuries there. So, all right, 20-6, 21-6. Extra point is good. So let's check out the lines now.
Total doesn't change.
No.
No. I mean that's pretty wild. You've got 27 points on the board. So what is that? That's what, 17? You need 18 points to go over the total?
Yeah. I mean, you got
halfway through the third quarter. I don't know, man. I mean, you would think we're going to get 2 more, but I don't know if we'll get 3 more.
I think we do. I like the over 44.5. I got to get 1 out of the Dolphins. I just have to, right? So
I'll tell you one thing.
2 out of Baltimore.
Trust the original number, right? You would expect that this is going to get back closer to 51 than it is now. So, right. Just I think handicapping 101, playing over the 44 with the expectation that the odds makers will be closer with their original number than the way this is going currently is probably the play to make.
Yeah. They moved to it to actually they lowered to his passing yards. I'm a little surprised, I guess, because the time went off the clock, but only 4 minutes, and now they're it's not like they're down 3 scores and they got to throw the offense completely out the window, but they are down 2. So they lowered it to 270.5. He's at 152. It was 275.5, I believe it was at halftime. They've been throwing the ball. They like I said, they've been moving the ball. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you could get 60 yards on an by the way drive with 4 minutes left. So he won't get another 70 or so over the next quarter. That's not
it's. I mean, you've got a quarter and a half.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Achan and Waddle. I think all that stuff is in play.
Yeah. They bump Waddle up to 94.
They might outgain the Ravens here. They might actually outgain the Ravens in what looks like a possible very lopsided loss.
Yeah, that's why about my buddy of mine, Mark Lawrence, right? Everyone knows who Mark is.
A friend of mine as well.
Yeah, right. So he's real big on stats. Who wins the stats, and he'll make plays based on, okay, this team is 5-0, but they've been outgained 4 out of the 5 games. Whereas I don't buy into that. I don't know how you feel about that, Brady. It's just because you have games that are just like this, where you're going to blame the Ravens because the Dolphins turned the ball over. I mean, that's not the Ravens' fault. They're not on offense because they're scoring on a short field, or they get a punt return, or a kickoff return, or, the defense steps up and it just allows Miami to go between the 20s. We've seen defenses do that all the time. So I'm not a big in the stats guy like he is. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar with Mark's work in that regard, and he was heavy against the Philadelphia Eagles because I think they started out this season 0-5 in the stats. They were outgained in like their first 5 games of the year, and Mark was looking to fade them. But they covered the spread, especially you look at this last game against the New York Giants in that rematch. There was all kinds of people that liked the Giants in that game, and that didn't work out. But I think it's just case by case because you and I talked about it earlier. Is this a little bit smoke and mirrors with the Baltimore Ravens here? Do they look like they're back 100%? Does Lamar look like he's back 100%? The Dolphins have missed a field goal. They've turned it over on downs deep in the red zone, and they've turned over the ball deep in their own territory. So is this, 21 points on the board, is that all really Baltimore dominating this game? Not necessarily. And that, that's another thing. It kind of is along the same lines. Like, look at the Steelers. The Steelers beat the New England Patriots earlier this year, right? They were the beneficiary of 4 turnovers. So did they really beat New England, or did New England beat themselves? And so I think sometimes that situation, whether it's being the beneficiary of a bunch of turnovers or a team getting out yarded, sometimes you got to be a little leery of those teams going into their next game if they're a big favorite. Do they really deserve that status?
I think we got to get a break in here, boys. So quick little break, then we'll come back, update all the football scores. We get the 2 college games going on, some hockey, some NBA as well. In-game live game day here on the Grid.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year.
All right, welcome back. It is in-game live game day. Scott and Brady sitting in for Gabe tonight. Moment of truth here for the Dolphins. It's starting to fall apart. 3 and out, in which they lost yards on their drive after the Baltimore Raven touchdown. So now they got to punt the ball from their own 6-yard line. So you figure Baltimore's going to have great field position already leading at 21-6, and that line is already up to 18.5. So we'll keep you posted on that. College football, Brady, we got the two games here. Both pretty good games, all things considered. If this was Michigan, Ohio State, or Alabama, Georgia, we'd be going gaga. But it's Tulane, Texas, San Antonio, and Marshall, Coastal Carolina. But that's the same. A lot of scoring, 38-12. Texas San Antonio leading by 26 over Tulane. So they scored a touchdown since halftime. It was 31-12. Numbers are locked right now. About 4 minutes left to go in the third quarter there. So I'll give you those in a second. And then Coastal added another touchdown, now leading Marshall as a 5.5, 4.5, 5.5, whatever the number you got, depending on where you do your shopping. Leading by 10, 37-27. Now that's locked. So Tulane with the ball getting 17.5. We hopped on when it was 20.5 in the first half, and the over-under is 71.5. You got 50 points with 4 minutes left to go in the third. You probably got a 2-point conversion situation, so you could get there theoretically with 3 more touchdowns. No, you need 22 points.
The dogs are barking. They were last night on Wednesday night with Mississippi or Middle Tennessee, and now Coastal Carolina, who I really didn't expect. That's 2 weeks in a row. I did not expect anything out of the Chanticleers, and they're about to win this one outright. They beat App State outright as big underdogs last time out, and now Tulane really getting crushed. But it looks like Tulane may have just scored. Yeah, Tulane. I don't know if you saw that. UTSA had scored, but now Tulane on the board as well. Now, they took the live lines off in the Marshall Coastal Carolina game, but I believe that total was in the high 70s, and now you're at 71.5 in the other one here in San Antonio. You've basically, these two games combined, your in-game total price is around 150 points. So some pretty, like you say, some pretty entertaining football on a Thursday night here in some, relatively, it's not the household names, but these are teams that, have always kind of historically put up points.
77.5. They just posted it, Brady, for the Marshall Coastal Carolina. You have 64 points. You got darn near the whole fourth quarter left. Coastal does have the ball, but it's right around midfield. I mean, that's 2 touchdowns, and now they just took it off the board. I would think you would get, I don't know why you wouldn't get 2 more touchdowns. 37-27 after 3. Why wouldn't we get 2 more scores? So it sounds crazy to say, but I actually like the over 77.5 in that game.
I'm with you. There was a point when this was not too long ago, was at 80.5. So are we getting a little bit of a bargain? But I also like Marshall. Marshall was just catching 7.5. Now it's 6.5. There's a big difference in those two numbers. Marshall getting 7.5, I'd probably even take 6.5. But you'd love to have 7.5 with a team that was favored by 6 or 7 points prior to kickoff here. So I think the Thundering Herd and the points and a good amount of points is a good play. And if you like that, then you could figure that this game is going to go over as well, right, Scott? If the Thundering Herd are going to come back, then this thing's going over 77.5.
Yeah. I'm not going to fight that anymore. Marshall is there, but I like the over. Just Coastal's got it at the Marshall 40, albeit 3rd and 14. Probably 2 down territory, depending on how many yards they get on 3rd down. Maybe they 4th and 14, so they'll probably get a punt. But now it's down to 74.5. So they realize that they're not going to score. But you know what? With 12.5 minutes left, that's okay. I like that as well. It's still,
I don't think we're done yet.
It's still 2 touchdowns, whether it's 77.5 or 74.5.
We can have overtime too. It's a 10-point deficit. Overtime is very realistic here. Maybe not in the other game, but a little bit more time left there for points. And UTSA now has it 1st and 10 at their own 37. So they're on the move once again. And now they are 18.5-point favorites. Yeah, if you jumped on that 21.5 with the green wave, I think you're looking pretty good.
Here come the San Antonio Spurs, 87-72 over Miami.
Oh,
wow.
I don't like to hear that.
Quarter. Wow.
That was just a 6-point game last time I checked, literally about 60 seconds ago. So you and I talked about this. The NBA, like erasing a 10, 12-point deficit or scoring 10, 12, 15 points in a blink of an eye is not uncommon in today's NBA.
Yeah. The worst thing happened. Thunder end up winning by 19. Win you lose, you bet. Okay. The problem is, the Wizards made a little bit of a run there third quarter. They cut it to single digits, and then OKC decided, okay, it's time to play ball. I just wanted it to hang around the 10, 11, 12, and maybe get the backdoor cover. They outscore the Wizards, so they played the fourth quarter, right? I would have preferred to be down 20. I really would have heading into the fourth quarter. Yeah. It was a relatively close game, and they outscore the Wizards by 11, and they win by 19. So they were only leading by 8. That's like when you're laying 15, 16, as you were with this one, that's what you want. You don't want to be up 20. We've seen it 1,000 times in the NBA that they turn off the faucet in the fourth quarter and the other team rallies or at least gets the backdoor cover. You want it to be a real competitive game, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. And that's unfortunately what it was. It sounds goofy to say, but all right, they get the
earlier you were rooting for the Pittsburgh Penguins to score a goal. Well, now they have 3. They're beating the Minnesota Wild 3-1 with 10 minutes left in the final frame there. And good news, early in the first period, the San Jose Sharks are on the board. So now you need a goal out of the New Jersey Devils, and you're almost home with that bet.
How about that? Update from football. As you see, another touchdown for the Baltimore Ravens. Rashad Bateman again, apparently. Touchdown reception. Lamar with 3 TD passes. Wow.
Not too shabby.
Now we're at 27, pending the extra point. Now, if you had those passing props on, I don't think they're going to be running the ball that much. Maybe a couple plays, but yeah, that possession by the Dolphins, they went backwards. They lost 7 yards. And that just set up Baltimore great field position. We'll update the lines when we come back.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back. In-game live game day here on the grid. So getting a clunker here. Dolphins held up a fight for a half, but as they say in The Gambler, the old Gambler with James Conn, they don't pay at a halftime, Axel. What a great scene that was. He's at the bar, right? I'm sure you've seen that movie, Brady, right? He's at the bar. He's got a bunch of winners, right? Then he goes home and the bookie calls him and goes to collect. He's like, he finds out all his bets lost because even though they were leading at halftime. Stinking Brown. Great movie. That's a good movie about gambling. The newer Gambler, no, but that's a classic. So
anyway. I it was during COVID when we were all the quarantine and everything, and there wasn't much to do, and so I started putting up or punching up gambling movies, and I did a piece. I wrote an article about the top 10 of all time. I'm not sure if The Gambler made my list. I didn't like the ending.
You gotta be kidding me. Not top 10? That's the best one by far. There's no movie even close. Not even close to Gambler.
No, you're way off. The best, number one was The Hustler with Paul Newman and Jackie Gleason.
Well, that's way back, yeah.
Number two was The Sting with Robert Redford and Paul Newman. If you've ever seen Owning Mahoney, that is an unbelievable gambling movie. But Con is fantastic. Oh,
which one is that?
It's more modern.
I probably have. I just don't recognize the name.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's a banker that starts embezzling and has a huge gambling problem going down to New Jersey every weekend. Wild movie. Really good.
Yes.
Another old one with Henry Fonda and Joanne Woodward is A Big Hand for the Little Lady. Outstanding. But I love the Con movie. And I'd probably, going back, I'd probably change a couple of things in my top 10. But the ending soured me. I thought that was a little dark.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. That's part of what the story was, right? But, whatever. So, yeah. Anyway.
That's good. We talk little movies. The thing I didn't like about it was it's like, I understand, but when you're taking money from your mother and you could get out of the jam, it was just like, it was kind of a little over the top. Like, come on. I mean, how sick are you really that, you keep on gambling even though you're taking money from your mother? Yeah.
He's always,
but the emotion and, sitting in a bathtub like they did things that the typical gambler did. That's what I really liked. Like, if you want to know the mindset of a gambler, that's the movie. That's what
I thought the first half of the movie was better than the second half. Yeah. And he's going to Vegas and running into problems and staying up all night and stuff. Yeah, no, it was well done for sure.
Yeah.
I think my expectations were high too. I'm like, James Caan in a movie called The Gambler, this is going to be great. And it let me down a little bit, I think.
Wow, I love it. It's one of my best. And you look at Lauren Bacall was in that. George Sorvino was in that. Like, if you look at there's a lot of big time actors in that movie too.
Yeah, Lauren Bacall's girlfriend, right?
Yeah, she was the girlfriend. Sorvino was the bookie, his bookie buddy. Great scene. Again, another little thing. Great scene in the movie, right? He's being driven to the big time bookie, right? And he's in a conversation with Sorvino, his local bookie, and he's telling him, I could win games if I could win money if I wanted to. And he's like, and Sorvino, the bookie's like, well, why don't you then? He says, because I play more games than what I really like. If I only played the games that I really liked, I would win. And Sorvino's like, well, why don't you do that? He said, well, it's not enough juice. I got to play the other games. And again, that's what the gambler, that's what a gambler does. Like, you don't just play the 2 or 3 games you like, you play 10 of them.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about with sports betting. It's just as important as picking the right side is money management and discipline, right? Yep. And what Caan is talking about there in the movie is he doesn't have discipline. He needs to bet more games because he needs more action. So yeah, it's good. But
that's what I like. Like I said, there's a lot of little insights like that whoever we work with them. They really.
You think the director ever had a bet on a game and
yeah. And
they knew a lot about the ups and downs.
A lot. Sure. They had some gamblers, no doubt, encourage them. So, all right. So Dolphins with it. 2.5 minutes left to go in the third. 4th and 9. I imagine down 28-6, they're going to go for it here.
It's getting late early.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So if they don't get this, then that's it. Probably the ball game, to tell you the truth. So we'll see what they punted it.
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
Fourth and 9 from their own, and now Baltimore's got it on their own 15.
4th and 9, midfield, down 3 scores. Wow. All right, we get live. It's here to Grid.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Hey, Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is in-game live game day here on the Grid. Scott and Brady in for Gabe tonight. So late third quarter, Baltimore, the Dolphins do punt. Listen, you're down 3 scores. You got it at midfield. It's 4th and 9. It's just an indictment on how the Dolphins just can't throw the ball down the field. They just can't. So now Baltimore's 24.5, leading by 22. And they're still making you pay a premium. So they still think Baltimore, though they got it at midfield now, is going to score more points than the Dolphins the rest of the way. Wow. We need some points here for our opening teaser. With Dolphins getting only 6 points, we're at 34 here, Brady. So what did we get it at? I had Baltimore at 45.5.
Right. Yeah.
We're in trouble.
We had it as high as 48.5 here for an in-game price. By the way, the scoring is not finished in Carolina. Coastal Carolina on the 1-yard line of Marshall right now with a 10-point lead. Over 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter there. UTSA tacks on a field goal. They now lead Tulane 41-19. And a lot of action on the ice while we were away, Scott. The Edmonton Oilers with 2 quick goals. They were tied with the New York Rangers at 1-1. It's now 3-1 Oil, with 8 minutes left in the second period there. And San Jose scores again. They lead the Devils 2-0. Yeah, 7 minutes left in the first period. They were huge underdogs in that game. They're out to a 2-0 start. We said it. We weren't worried about San Jose scoring. Now we have to worry a little bit about the Devils counterattacking.
Yeah. I mean, it's still first period, but still, you want to grab. I mean, I grabbed the Devils to start to win in regulation at -145. So now they're down 2-0. This after they got whacked by Colorado. I thought they would bounce back. Maybe they're having a little bit of a letdown. They lost 8-4 the other night. Right now, Devils are plus 215. You get 7 minutes left to go in the first period. Devils can put 6 goals on the board like it's nobody's business. So this is far from over. That's not a bad little. You know what I would even maybe do if you don't want to go conservative, or if you want to go conservative rather, take the Devils plus a goal and a half at minus 114. But I don't mind taking them plus 210. I think this is, like I said, 7 minutes left. You got 2 whole periods. That's not a bad little play.
I don't mind under 7.5 either. I think this is a perfect scenario where you get those quick goals in the first period and that in-game total gets all jacked up. It's now at 7.5. Now you got to pay a ton of juice, unfortunately, minus 150 on the under, but I would go under 7.5. Right. The Devils can win this thing 4-2.
Right. Edmonton 3-1, as you mentioned. So they're 18-1, which is crazy. You want to take a flyer on the Rangers at plus 830? Maybe the Rangers plus 2.5 goals. I don't really like that either. The Rangers are just,
I have my bet on Edmonton at minus 155, prior to puck drop here. Yeah. And so, how you don't want to mess with a good hand, right?
Right.
Total still at 6.5. That's where it was prior to puck drop here. You're getting plus money on the under. The only thing that would have me leaning towards the over there is the possible empty netter. Otherwise, I'd feel good about an under 6.5 with only 7 minutes left in the second period.
If I had Edmonton like you do, I would hedge with the Rangers. I'm a big hedger.
I don't mind hedging, but so would you hedge plus 2.5 goals?
No. If I'm going to hedge, I'll hedge just because I want to hedge.
Okay.
Yeah, I would, if let's just say you have $100, so you're going to win 100 on Edmonton. I'll take 10 of that and put it on the Rangers at 8-1. And if Edmonton wins, 4-1, whatever the case may be, it's well worth the aggravation I would have if I had Edmonton, didn't hedge, and the Rangers come back and score, 3 goals in the final 3 minutes and win, 4-3, and be like, you got to be kidding me, right?
So basically, there you either win $90 or you break even.
Yeah. If they're going to give me that big of a number, Brady, like 8-1. I mean, it's only a 2-goal game. You got the entire third period and 7 minutes of the second. If they're going to give me that fat of a number, to me, it's worth it. It really is. People are different, but I believe in hedging.
Hey, guess what's going on in San Antonio? And I'm not talking college football. The Miami Heat are in the lead.
Wow.
That was what, a 15-point difference at the end of the third quarter? 87-72 or something like that?
I was going to say, I don't think
89-88.
I don't think the Spurs have scored in the fourth quarter.
They scored one point.
1 point. Yeah, right, 1 point.
In 7.5 minutes.
17-1.
Wow. That's amazing.
NBA is crazy when it comes to this in-game live stuff. Listen,
and now you've got Miami Heat at plus 122 on the money line. I mean, that's worth a shot at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, really is. You got to figure they're going to bounce back somewhere along the line, right? I mean, if you just did NBA, you forget about hockey, forget about football, and you just looked at the NBA for our show, you could have the swings are just crazy. They're just crazy.
Yeah.
And just make it like automatic bets. When you have good teams, I wouldn't do this with the Pelicans or the Utah Jazz of the world, but Miami's obviously pretty good. San Antonio, just like have it. Sooner or later, we're going to get to the point where you're going to be able to punch into your account and say, if a team is down 15, put this bet in. Almost like a stock, right? You could put a $50 stock. You could bid, okay, I want to buy it if it drops to 40, right?
Right.
You're going to be able to do that somewhere along the line with gambling.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been introduced already. That would make sense. You wonder if that'll come around maybe in prediction markets prior to, standard markets. I'm not so sure about that, but that makes a bunch of sense. Now 91-90 in favor of the Miami Heat with 6.5 minutes left in that one. Back to the football game. Miami has the ball back, 1st and 10 at their own 35-yard line to start the fourth quarter. So I don't know if that was at Baltimore kicking off. Did they? I didn't think they scored right at the
They were
very end.
driving. Let me see if they. They had it down inside Miami territory. What happened? they punted. They must have punted from the Dolphin like they had it at the 47. I thought they were further down the field than that, to tell you the truth. But I guess they punted
Miami's
right around
moving it
midfield.
again, and this could be that time of the ball game, Scott, like we spoke about earlier, where the Ravens are just kind of prevent defense,
right?
Just let nothing get behind me, and if you guys punch it in, okay. I mean, they've got a 22-point lead right now. I don't think they feel too threatened.
Yeah. Good news, as we were kind of hoping. Derrick Henry ripped off a 35-yard run.
There you go.
So he's up to 76 now. We need to get him to 88. So we need 12 more yards. He's got 12.
What about the reception? Does he have the catch for more than 6 yards?
No, that he doesn't have. He still has that one catch for 2 yards. That one's going to be probably a loser. So if we can get the Derrick Henry to get to 88 yards, I'll take the split out of it. And with only 12 carries, I would think fourth quarter, it's not like he's got 20 already and they're saying, well, we gave you the ball enough. I would think, especially if we get Miami to score here and keep this a competitive game, that he would be out there and get 12 more yards, I would think. So
first and 10 on the Baltimore 32, so they're moving it down to a 19.5-point dog.
Yeah, we've seen this before. Can they actually punch it in?
Right.
Tua is up 229 yards passing, so he needs what do we get? We got it at 270 and change, so we need about 50 more yards for him to go over his number.
You got the entire quarter left, so should be all right.
I would think so. So, but we've seen stranger things happen, especially with Tua and the Dolphins. So first down at the Baltimore 32. Down, they got it all locked now, so I was going to give you an over-under, but I would think somewhere along the line the Dolphins would be going for 2.
45.5.
45.5. So it's at 34. They go for 2, make it 42 points. You still need another touchdown. So you need 2 more TDs. That's not the worst thing in the world. I think we can get that score here. All right, we're coming up.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in-game live game day here on the grid. We started the fourth quarter with the football game. Scott and Brady in for Gabe tonight, so let's bring in our good buddy, SportsGrid host you see and hear all the time, Tom Vecchio, to the program, get his thoughts on the game, maybe a little World Series talk as well. So, Tom, it's a football Dolphins moment of truth. They got the ball at the Baltimore 44, 3rd and 1. They're down 3 scores. They got about 14 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Your thoughts on how things have progressed, and where would you go right now if you could?
Things are going largely as I anticipated. I think this game was a very clear under. I was going to lean with the Ravens. The fact that you were getting the hook with the Dolphins was at least interesting. A part of me wanted to see Lamar play last week, and then we'd have a full picture, because if Lamar is fully healthy, and what I said to Donnie was that if Lamar was ready to go, I would have taken the Ravens at -9.5. I would have taken them on an alt spread just because I don't think the Dolphins stood a chance in this. I'm seeing some points left on the table, essentially, for the Dolphins, where they could have had this game within 1 score almost, given the fact that the red zone inefficiency that they had at this point. I think you could look to the over at 43.5, but I wouldn't be making a big play on it. You'd be hoping that the Dolphins punch one in, and then the Ravens come back and score on their own.
Well, the Dolphins did just convert on 4th and 1 from the 44-yard line of the Ravens. They have now moved it to the Baltimore 37. Just about 13 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're now 19.5-point underdogs. 43.5 is your in-game total. I asked George Kurtz when we had him on at halftime, Tom, you talked about, kind of wanting to see Lamar Jackson a little bit. Now that you've seen him here tonight, do you have any idea of what you might do next week when they're on the road for the second straight week at Minnesota?
The first half, I think, went largely, again, how I anticipated. He looked okay-ish to bad at certain times, and maybe that's just a product of him getting back into the rhythm of things, where he was off for a month, and now he's finally back, and, he is looking great. There's no doubt about it, but where do we put this as like a measuring stick type game, given the fact that it's against the Dolphins? Just putting up a lot of yards and 3-4 touchdowns, and the Dolphins, are we writing headlines about that? I would say no. I would say this doesn't necessarily impress me. So I'd be more inclined to take points or take unders on Lamar, knowing he's going up against a tough defense next week, because the lines will be overinflated based on a primetime performance, but it's against the Dolphins when it's all said and done. It's that's nothing to write home about.
No, it is not, Tom. My beloved Dolphins are not exactly a measuring stick on success, right? So,
well, it's what we talked about, right? That it's a little bit smoke and mirrors here with the Ravens. They've been, and you talked about it too, Tom. The Dolphins have had scoring opportunities. They've turned it over. They've turned it over on downs. They've missed field goals. So, not quite a dominant performance out of Baltimore, and that could add up to a bet against next week.
Any props that you like, Tom? Whether it's Dolphins, I mean, listen, there's 12 minutes left. I'm thinking they're going to be throwing the ball, but are you willing to risk anything on either Dolphins or Raven players right now?
So I had a Tua under, which is all but dead at this point, or it is officially dead. Henry's at 76 yards, and he's at 76, and to get to 90 is plus 104, and Keaton Mitchell is at 8 yards, and him to get to 20 is at plus 122. I think one of those goes over. They're both sitting at plus money. I think one of those goes over. So Henry getting up to 90, or Keaton Mitchell, the backup, if they do ease off of Henry, because it is a short week for the Ravens except Lamar. Keaton Mitchell currently has 8 yards, him getting up to 20 at plus 122. If the Dolphins can't score here, it's 4th and 11. They're snapping the ball now. If they can't score here, the Ravens have 11, and they convert the 4th. The Ravens have 11 minutes to run the clock, essentially.
They convert the 4th down. Wow. That is really incredible. 4th and 11, and they get it done. And by the way, both of you guys are going to enjoy this. The New Jersey Devils are on the board. They have lit the lamp. The San Jose Sharks, 3-1. Yes. You've got 2 more teams left, Scott. And both of you guys have the Devils to win that game in regulation. And, hey, you got to start somewhere.
Right.
Tom, I got. I play on FanDuel. They offer up will there be no shutouts in essence? Will every team score a goal? So it was plus 160 tonight. There were 11 games, right? So you had to sweat through a lot of them, and so I'm down to my last game, LA and Detroit, with the Devils scoring there. I figured they would, but. Yeah.
The Red Wings have been hot. They've been scoring. It's good to see Alex DeBrincat finally get on the board after 6 straight games without a goal to start the season. He got 2 in back-to-back games. The Kings are at home. They should be scoring.
Yeah. I like that angle there with Henry. You're right. Short week, maybe they don't rush him as much, but you got to believe either Mitchell or Henry or maybe both are going to get their rushing totals, right? I mean, it's basically it's 13 yards for Derrick Henry. And it's about 10 yards for Mitchell, especially if the Dolphins score here, right?
Well,
I mean,
we got a turnover. We got a turnover. I think it was a fumble or a punch out or something. Ravens got the ball because I think it was a run play. So someone fumbled it. Was that Malik Washington? Yeah, fumble again as he was being taken down. They grabbed it. So they're going to have the entire field to go with 11 minutes left. And again, this is just operate normally. Even if you pick up 2 first downs, then you have to punt. So be it. Take the 5 or 6 minutes off the clock.
Yeah. Tom, is this the last game for Mike McDaniel as coach of the Dolphins? Scott brought up a good point that maybe, you've got a division game with Buffalo next, and then a London trip. Is London really the best place for an interim coach? And then their bye week after that. Does he last that long?
I can make the case that you just let him coach it out until the London game, which is a spot we have traditionally seen coaches be fired. Whether we get the news from Schefter or Rappaport that they're fired before the game is basically over. They haven't even left London yet. But I would not fire a coach leading into an international game.
Wow. I'm just seeing the turnover now. That's brutal. You're right. It was like an end around wide receiver, end around wide receiver reverse. He just got tackled. He just dropped the ball. I mean, he just.
It wasn't a great punch out. It wasn't amazing. It was pretty routine.
It wasn't like a punch out. The guy wrapped him up and threw him to the ground, and the ball popped out. Wow. More with Tom when we come back. Keep live.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott and Brady chat with Tom Vecchio, SportsGrid host here. And one quickie here, Brady. I must say, you weren't like the game's not over yet, but Baltimore is leading 28-6. And I bring that up only because your pre-game prediction was what, Baltimore 28-16. So if anybody played 8-6, which you can make that bet on some of these sites as well, versus the actual score. Like they have that in game. They don't have the actual scoring game, but they got the final digits in game, at least on FanDuel. You'd have a shot here with the Dolphins turning it over. It's 28-6. So I don't know if you did that or not. If anybody did that, you're alive.
Full transparency, it would still work out with the 8 and the 6, but I said 26-18.
You should have said yes, Scott. You're right. You should have
too honest.
Yeah, it reversed. Okay.
I will say, I like that, man. I hope I'm back here for another Thursday night. That was pretty cool. I'm off to a decent start as far as, I came relatively close to what it looks like the final score might be.
Yeah. Those are fun.
The squares are kind of interesting. If you have a pure game script, I remember it was last year, Packers at Saints, really terrible Thursday night game where the Saints were just dead. It was an all Josh Jacobs. And I think the Packers were up 10-0 after the first. And I played as a 0-0 because that's what I thought it was going to be. And it comes through. You throw, as people like to say, a little bit beer and pizza money on it. But if you think they're going to be up 7-0 or 10-0, you got the numbers right there.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. While we were away, Derrick Henry runs for 10-15 yards. So he's now at 97 yards. So he's over his 88 and a half. So as Tom suggested before, and I had originally, that was one of our bets, over 87 and a half. So he hits that. That was a good spot. You figure with basically the entire fourth quarter, he was going to get a couple of opportunities. And the Dolphin defense, especially when you don't score. So maybe that worked really to our advantage. So 28-6, he's at 97 yards. How about a little World Series talk, Tom? Your reaction to the Dodgers being down. To me, the Toronto's not up. The Dodgers, to me, are down 3-2.
Yeah, I was here with you guys last week before the series started, saying one of my favorite bets was over 5.5. It was a little bit juiced, but really my favorite spot. When it comes to this game, I was looking at some props for tomorrow. I think tomorrow's game is all about Yamamoto. The Dodgers bullpen has been bad. There's no question about it. That has been their weakness, along with their hitting. They're not hitting right now, but their bullpen specifically has been bad. So if there is a game 7, it's going to be because of Yamamoto. Like I don't think it's like, the Dodgers win that game 7-1 or something. Their bats wake up. I think Yamamoto's going to have to do the heavy lifting. So looking at his strikeout props or his out props, even if he gives up 2 or 3 runs, he's the best option that they have. Let him go into the 7th inning. 100 pitches. He gives up 3 runs. So be it. Don't get the bullpen involved before you have to.
Well, if the trend continues, that'll be 3 straight complete games for Yamamoto in the postseason here. So, yeah, any way you can avoid that bullpen, he's your best option for sure. I do believe the bats will wake up a little bit, Tom. I think Kevin Gausman is due for some regression. His xFIP is about twice of what his ERA is. And you've got a right-handed pitcher facing Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. I think both of those guys could go off. Maybe you play them, for some sort of prop bet, Freeman and Ohtani.
Love a good xFIP mention. Not everyone is in tune, with some deep baseball stats, but that's something that I always refer to. That's generally a predictive metric where the ERA is current, and you can use it in reverse. Like a pitcher has a super high ERA but a low xFIP, he's due for positive regression. I was on Freddie Freeman last night for 2+ HRR, hit, run, RBI. He didn't come through with that. But again, to your point, you get some lefties in the mix. That's a great spot for them against Gausman, especially in that ballpark up in Toronto.
All right. Any chance the Dodgers? You can get them now at plus almost 2-1 on FanDuel anyway, plus 198. Any chance they come back and win this thing?
I would say there's a chance, but again, it comes down to Yamamoto, and therefore I think one of the better bets to make would be Yamamoto World Series MVP, because again, if there's a game 7, he is the reason they are advancing that far. And then whatever happens in game 7 is that. But again, Brady, you said complete games. if they go, it's going to be because of him. And 8 innings, 9 strikeouts, and he just dominates them. And then at that point, I think they have to give it to him no matter what hitter does anything at the plate.
Yeah. He's 25-1. That's what I was saying, Tom. It's not a bad hunch play, right? Not an absolute all in, but if he pitches well and you don't have a superstar in Game 7, he would be the choice. Great job, Tom. Appreciate it.
You just see Texas in any game, and again, Kentucky used to be able to put up points in the past. 43.5 is crazy because it just feels like Texas is going to come in, play really good defense, and try to squeeze this game out. It'll be interesting to see because nothing got ailed from that victory last week. Texas is back. I'm just being facetious at this point, but if we see one of those performances, 17-14 Texas
in the fourth quarter,
yeah, come on,
right? I mean, really? I mean, they got a gift last week.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. It looks like the Bengals fantasy pieces are back. What did you make of that Joe Flacco performance on Thursday night? Turning back time.
Yeah, it was great for a guy like me with gray in the beard. I love seeing it. I love my representation. But at the end of the day, just from a wagering standpoint, if this continues, it'll give some consistency and it'll give some value back to those tools that you were mentioning on the Bengals.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Defense is above average this year, and I think big picture they're going to be probably the most consistent moving forward. The problem I have is this guy, Trevor Lawrence, big picture. You got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly sometimes is real ugly. He is not comfortable in the pocket on a consistent basis, and that's a problem.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid. It starts innocent. One bet, one boost, one thrill. You're not haunted by ghosts. You're haunted by doubt. But that's where SportsGrid brings the light when the lines get dark. The only thing scarier than losing a bet is missing a winner. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day on the Grid. Thanks again, Tom Vecchio, for joining us, as he does on Mondays and Thursdays with the football games going on. This one is another turnover Dolphins.
Are you serious?
Normally, when we go away, we get a home run, Brady, or a touchdown. With the Dolphins, you go away, you get a turnover. It's
How many is that? That's 3 tonight.
4?
Okay.
Is it 3 or 4?
I think it's 3. But it really is 4. Well, it's really almost 5. It's 3 traditional turnovers, but the missed field goal, you add another one, and then they turned it over on downs once too. So, yeah, let's call it 3.5. I mean, I wonder if you should start doing that for missed field goals as far as a stat. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, but it is a turnover. It's absolutely a turnover.
If not that, then certainly the downs one. If you want to say the missed field goal, okay, you miss a field goal, but that's not as bad, I don't think. But I agree. But certainly you turn the ball over on downs. What's the difference if you fumble the ball on 4th down versus you don't get a first down if you're going for it? You're giving it back to the other team. So
it just seems like
you're right.
It seems like there are more. You're more likely to have a bigger swap of field position on a missed field goal than you are on a failed 4th down. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, because you're going backwards. 7 yards for the field goal try.
Right.
So.
Yep. And you could be trying to field goal from 50 some yards, where you're probably not going to be going for it on 4th down necessarily. Yada yada. So.
Right. We're going to look at these stats at the end of the game, and this is losers lamenting. Dolphins right now, anyway, with 5 minutes left, they have more first downs, 17-15. They have more total yards, 332 to 293. More passing yards, 245 to 168. A little bit less rushing yards because of the Derrick Henry stuff. Same amount of penalties. You circle two things. You circle the score, obviously, and then you circle the 3 turnovers. None for Baltimore. Simple as that.
I mean, are turnovers the hardest thing to predict in the NFL? It's hard enough to beat a game against the spread. But if we could predict turnovers, I mean, what is the percentage? I think it's I know it's over 60%. It's maybe even 70% that the team that loses the turnover battle loses the game, aka doesn't cover the spread. I mean, it's a huge number, but you really can't predict turnovers. You know, you talked about the Dolphins being one of the worst teams as far as turnover margin this season. Okay, but that typically corrects itself. Certainly from season to season it does, and sometimes within the same season. So it's just really hard to count on turnovers happening or not happening in a single football game.
Yeah. When you look though, it's When you look at the bottom right now, so Tennessee has 13. Dolphins have 12. That's why they led heading into last week. So Tennessee has 13. They suck. San Francisco has 12. They're pretty good, I will say. Seattle's got 12, and they're pretty good. But then you got the Saints with 12 who stink. Dolphins 12 stink. Raiders 12 stink. Carolina 12 stinks. Minnesota 12 stinks. So the bottom 6 teams.
It'll ruin your season in a hurry.
Yeah. I mean, so it's not predictable, you're right, but the repercussions of it are you don't win if you turn the ball over. It's as simple as that. The best teams: Green Bay, good; Eagles, good; Colts, good; Chiefs, good; Lions, good; Bucks, Bills, all good. So the top 7 teams, fewest turnovers. They're all the best teams in the NFL. So
do you use that, Scott, in the offseason to predict, say season win totals, division winners, how you expect a team to be the next year? This is certainly one thing that I look at is, what they were in turnover margin in the season prior. And if you've got a team that's say minus 20 in turnover margin, that's likely to get better in the follow-up season. You're probably not going to have 2 years in a row of awful turnover margin. That thing is pretty variable or volatile, I should say. So, and then maybe conversely, a team that, was kind of average to decent, but had an exceptional turnover margin where maybe they were plus 15, you would expect just natural regression for that team, that they wouldn't be as good in the follow-up season because they're likely to not get such turnover luck in the following campaign, if you will.
Yeah. To put it into perspective how bad the Dolphins have been tonight, believe it or not, and maybe it's not that big of a shock, but Baltimore has nearly as many turnovers tonight, creating turnovers, 3, as they had all season. They had 4. They created 4 turnovers in 7 games, Baltimore, all season, and they forced Miami to have 3 turnovers.
That's why San Francisco is so low in the ranking for turnover margin, because they just had their first interception of the season last week. 8 weeks in, the first intercepted ball.
Little pop quiz. So the Jets have the fewest turnovers. How many turnovers do you think, creating turnovers on defense?
Oh, okay.
In 8 games, how many turnovers do you think the Jets have created?
3.
Lower. 1. 1.
Not good.
How is that possible? 8 games? No one just fumbled a punt. No one fumbled a kickoff. No one fumbled a handoff by accident. I mean,
there's another team. I can't remember who it is. I think it's the Chiefs. Have fumbled the ball a number of times, but they've hardly lost one.
You know what? I read that
crazy
today.
Fumble luck.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. I have it because I looked it up, or I saw it one of the websites I look at. The Chiefs have fumbled the ball 9 times this year. 9. They've yet to lose a fumble.
That's amazing.
And if you go back to last year, Brady, they fumbled 10 times, only lost 3. So they've only lost 3 fumbles, or they only lost the ball 3 times out of the last 19 fumbles.
That's really good information. That has to change probably very soon.
Yeah. I mean, but it 3 out of 10 last year, 0 out of 9 this year, to only not recover.
You can't sustain that.
Times.
A fumble is totally random as far as who recovers it. Pretty much. That's not going to. It's the coin is not going to go heads continually for the next 20 times. Is my point.
Yeah, amazing. It just that's like one more thing that like anti-KC people, the conspiracy. Not that there's any conspiracy to that, but it's just like when people say Kansas City gets all the breaks. It's like, yeah, I mean, some are held out by the officials. I'll grant you that, but others are just like, I mean, how do you explain 19 fumbles and you recovered 16 of them? That's just
it's unheard of.
Nothing bad happens to Kansas City. Nothing. It's amazing. So, yeah,
we'll see. I think they're going to lose this week.
Do you? Yeah, against Buffalo.
I think so.
Buffalo usually wins the regular season matchups.
That's what I said too.
Mahomes 0-3, 0-4 in regular season, but then 4-1 in the postseason, or maybe it's reversed.
Maybe there's a prop that you can find that Kansas City will actually lose a fumble. How about that? I think that could happen too.
Wow. Yeah. You got to be getting plus money,
due,
right? I mean, if they just go by the odds, you got to be getting plus money.
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we're winding down here. 50 seconds left. So game over. So we're all done. All right, Brady, good job. So 28-6 is your final. We hit most of our plays. We gave out a lot at the beginning of the show. We hit a bunch of those. So good job. Your final thoughts?
We need a goal out of the Red Wings and the Kings, and then you're home on your. Everybody gets a goal. Edmonton leading 3-1. I pushed with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, they end up losing by 6. How about that? Everything's said and done. Brady, great job, man. We'll do it again soon. Thanks.